Welcome to A State of Mind. This is Julian Royce. I bow with reverence and respect to the space within your heart, a space of truth and of caring and of being human. And this is the space which allows all these words to be heard. I am recording this a few days before Christmas, and I want to wish everyone listening a very happy holidays. And I wanted to share a message that there's no need to be any way other than how you are. Really, there's space for it all here. Sometimes around the holidays, or maybe often, we get the message that we should be happy, but we don't need to be any certain way. We don't need to be happy because it's a certain time of year, and we don't need to be unhappy because it's a certain time of year. This time right now, whatever it is something new, and that's worth appreciating. I am recording this back here in Boulder, Colorado. As I shared in the last episode, I got to spend some time in Tulum, Mexico, where I got to go on a yoga and meditation retreat, and I continue to reflect on that retreat. And one of the ways into meditation that the teacher Christopher Wallace offered was to simply ask the question, what is the quality of your experience before you think of it? What is the quality of your experience before you overlay conceptual thought upon it? And for me, that really helps just carry me into a non-conceptual state of meditation. I think at this point in my journey with meditation, it's rarely about acquiring some new information, as much as my intellect and my ego likes that. But in the actual practice itself, it's more about reminders, right? Avenues back. Back to what? Back to presence. Back to a space in which you are not identified with your mind. Another one that I got from that retreat that I really like is, what would it be like if you regarded the thoughts and judgments of your mind just like the sound of the wind? And that one really has helped me to, in the moment, disidentify with what's going on in the mind. That we can just allow the mind to be the mind. There's a new song with East Forest and Ram Dass, in which Ram Dass is saying, let the thoughts and judgments of the mind just be the thoughts and judgments of the mind. In today's podcast, I am speaking with an old friend of mine, VanNortwick. I went to high school with him, and for the last 3 years in a row now, we've recorded a conversation for this podcast on the Sunday after Thanksgiving, because I'll go home and see family that I have in Raleigh, North Carolina for Thanksgiving, and then see him that Sunday after. And this was a fun conversation. We cover a lot of topics. He is an amateur mycologist, but he's one of the people that I've had on the podcast who honestly is not trying to sell anything. He doesn't even have his own website or anything like that. It's really just this human-to-human conversation. We're reflecting on the year, on the state of the world. We are talking about things like mycology and the environment, as well as something I've been thinking about more and more lately, which is decentralized networks of intelligence. And I think that relates directly to the meditation instructions at the start of this podcast episode. And it relates directly to the ancient spiritual Buddhist yogic teachings we've all heard that blame our quote ego for the source of so much of our suffering. You know, as a really simple way to understand what that is pointing to is it's just pointing to the fact that we don't need to identify with our mind. Identifying with our mind is quote unquote ego in the way that it's often used in spiritual teachings or in translations of Buddhist and yogic texts. Maybe a more precise way to say it would be self-clinging, whatever we identify with. But practically speaking, what most of us are identifying with are our minds, our thoughts and our emotions and our stories and our memories of the past, our hopes and fears about the future and all that stuff. And so if you can take time during your day to, and it doesn't have to be a formal practice, but to find some way to find space from that, to drop into the bigger space in which those thoughts and emotions can arise, they can be there and they can dissolve, and to stop identifying with them. There's just so much immense benefit from doing that, not only for your own health, but honestly speaking for the health of those around you. And the other day I got to attend a house concert hosted by my friend Rosh, who started something called the Blind Cafe The Blind Cafe is this amazing experience in which they create an atmosphere of total darkness, and they serve you a gourmet meal, and they have amazing music, and all these sensory experiences, but without any vision, without any light whatsoever. And this house concert was not that. It was not a Blind Cafe experience, but I think I will have Rosh on the podcast sometime in the near future to share about his journey in creating that and sharing it with the world. But this was just a beautiful gathering of musicians and beautiful music, and I took a recording of one song in particular that just blew me away, and honestly I've been listening to it, you know, maybe once a day since I recorded it. It is called Through the Dark by Ruby Begay with John Sousa on guitar, and it's just written by and about this time of year in which the days are the shortest and the nights are the longest, and I think it's so beautiful and also profound. So I'm going to play that song, and then we'll have the conversation with Stephen. So enjoy.
Sweetly from the brightest starbeams I hold these prayers inside my hands, and deep down in my bones I answer the call. I see through it all. I won't go astray. With you I'll stay, and we'll light the candle. We won't let it burn out as we make our way through the dark, through the dark, through the dark, through the dark. So weave me sweetly from the brightest starbeams I hold these prayers above my head, and deep down in my bones I answer the call. I won't let you fall. Together we'll rise through it all. We'll go through the doorway. There's no turning back. There's nothing we lack as we move through the dark, through the dark, through the dark, through the dark. So weave me sweetly from the brightest starbeams. Oh, 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 weave me sweetly.
That was Through the Dark by Ruby Begay with John Sousa. And without further ado, I bring you Stephen VanNortwick.
membagi